Hello, welcome to Big Orc Games unboxing video of the latest Warhammer 40,000 Conquest expansion, Wrath of the Crusaders. My name is Simon, I'll be doing the unboxing today, so what I'm going to do is just open this up and just show you what you get inside here. So, just to sort of start this off, I am relatively new to the game of Conquest, so everything I say is just purely the opinion of someone who's relatively new to the game, so do bear that in mind when I start talking through some of the cards. I'm not going to go into a huge amount of detail, but I'll just give you a brief view of what I think of each of the cards. So you get in here the leaflet, which gives you the Crusaders Arrive story, and then on the back just explains the specializations and then just some of the rules for deck building and icons. This is the same leaflet you've got in previous expansions if you've picked up any other ones, so nothing new or special in there. So then we're on to the actual cards. So as with all living card games from Fantasy Flight Games, this is all preset, so there's no rarities, no randomness, it's just preset cards. You'll get the same in every single pack, and that's a playset of each card that you need, including the signature squad. So I'll just take the advert out the back, and then I'm just going to grab him from the back, because they're always at the back. So one of the big things from this expansion, Wrath of the Crusaders, is the new Space Marine Warlord, Chaplain Mavros, who's a Black Templar, which is one of my favourite chapters of the Space Marine, so I was quite excited for this expansion. It's part of why I got into the game, actually. So the new Chaplain Mavros, so Space Marine Warlord, 2 attack, 7 health, 7/7 for your starting hand and resources, and his ability is, as an action, deal a damage to a target Space Marine unit you control at a blue planet. The targeted unit gets +1 attack until the end of the phase, and then you're limited to only doing this twice per phase. So you can damage your own units to give yourself a +1 attack buff, which is fairly useful and seems alright. And then you start looking at some of the Space Marine Black Templar guards, which there'll be a few in here for the signature squad, but there are previous ones from other sets like the Righteous Initiates and stuff that really benefit from this. So, and the Blood Angels, Terminators, stuff like this. If you look back through the Space Marines, there's a lot of cards that can make a heck of a lot of use of this ability. Oh, and when he becomes bloodied, he turns to a 1/6. So he's still got an okay amount of health, but as usual, drops down to just the 1 attack. So going on to his signature squad, so we get the Reclusion Templars. So 3 cost, 1 command, 2 attack, 3 health. They are Soldier Black Templars with Unstoppable. The first time this unit is assigned damage this round, prevent 1 of that damage and ready the unit. Can you immediately see where this is going? So, deal damage to these guys using Mavros' ability, grant them +1 attack, and they get to ready and prevent that damage. This is great in terms of you could use them if you've had to enter in exhausted from committing or to get an extra combat turn in this round. So, plus you're getting the +1 attack, so it's making them a 3/3 effectively for that combat phase. Just remember you can only do this at blue planet. So you get 3 of those. Normally you get 4 of a signature, so it's quite interesting that you only get the 3. So we'll go on to the other army unit you get, which is the Emperor's Champion. So I'm really glad they put this in because this is a very staple Black Templar thing to have. So he's a 5 cost, 2 command icon, 3 attack, 6 HP. He's a Black Templar elite soldier with combat action. A target ready enemy army unit at this planet must be declared as an attacker, and this unit declared as a defender during your opponent's next combat turn, if able, and you can do this once per combat round. So effectively what he does is issues you a challenge that you cannot deny, which is very fitting with the Emperor's Champion from the miniatures game. So he's quite cool. 3/6, 2 command, yeah, he's 5 to put down, but with that combat action as well, I think he's very justified for his cost. And you get 1 of those. So we have the support here, which is Faith and Hatred. So 0 cost support, which are my favourite types of support, 0s. Reaction. After a unit you control is assigned damage by an attack, exhaust this support to prevent 1 of that damage. And we're back to Mavros. Prevent that damage, gain that bonus attack. Sorry, my apologies. Because you use the action to do the damage to your own unit, this only prevents damage by an attack. Sorry. My apologies. So yeah, so this is only preventing it by an attack. So the idea is you damage your own unit using Mavros, which will weaken them, but then next time your opponent attacks, you can prevent some of that damage. And again, this fits in with like the Blood Angels and some of the other ones which prevent damage and stuff. And you get one of those. We then have the Vow of Honor. So this is the event. It's a 1 cost. It has 1 shield. And reaction, after a Space Marine unit you control takes damage, that unit gets +3 attack for its next attack this phase. Again, combos well with Mavros, but generally it's just actually quite good for Space Marines. Just get that +3 attack, just getting 1 nice big solid punch. And you get 2 of those in there. And then we have the Ancient Croesus Arcanum. So this is your 1 cost attachment with 3 shields. It's a war gear weapon attached to a unit you control, and it gains Unstoppable. The first time this unit is assigned damage this round, prevent 1 of that damage and remove 1 damage from the unit. So this is again feeds into Mavros' ability. They haven't got a way to prevent the damage, or if you're doing it multiple times, etc., or just it's good for just tanking in general. So that's quite cool when you get 1 of those. So on some of the other armies. So we have Salem's Finest. So this is the first of our Imperial Guard cards for this expansion. It's a 4 cost army unit, 2 command, 3 attack, 4 HP, and it is a loyalty card. It counts as a soldier. And reaction, after you win a battle at a non-first green planet, instead of triggering the planet's battle ability, put this unit into play from your hand at a green planet. So Broderick War is already quite enjoying this card. But also this, I guess this will work well with Strachan and stuff, because you get to put it into play for free and it still counts as a soldier. 2 command icon, 3/4s, fairly decent stats if you can use its ability. And sometimes you might not want to trigger a planet's ability. It's not always possible. Like for example, if you get the I can't remember the names of the planets, but you get the one where route to target enemy unit, but they've already all headed home or something, you know, or gain 3 resources or draw 3, but usually as Imperial Guard you've got way more units than your opponent, or Astra Militarum, I'm sorry. So you'll get to drop this down for free instead, so it's quite a cool card, and as always you get 3. Then we get the support card for Imperial Guard in here. So it's a 3 cost. It's the Cathedral of Saint Camilla. I wanted to say something else, I'm sorry. Saint Camilla. It's another loyalty. It is a location. And it's ecclesiary. Combat action. Exhaust this support to target up to 1 non-elite enemy army unit at each green planet, and exhaust those targeted units, limiting once per phase. So again, this immediately screams, put me in a Broderick War deck. However, at 3 cost, it's probably a bit too expensive, and it is a unique, so I suppose it stops you from just spamming these down, but I'm not sure that's going to see too much play just because it is a 3 cost. We're on to Salvaged Battle Wagons. So this is a 7 cost army unit for the Orcs. 2 command, 5 attack, 6 HP, counts as a vehicle, and it's an elite. And it's got reaction. After this unit destroys an enemy unit by an attack, put an Orc unit with printing cost 3 or lower into play from your hand at an adjacent planet. That's quite cool. This works really well in a... and now I'm going to show my failing of my memory. Yep, no, my memory's completely failed. So there's the Orc Warlord that basically deals just almost purely with vehicles. That will work quite well for him. Just if anything, just to be able to reduce that cost, because 7 for a 5/6, 2 command icons is quite good, but that reaction's pretty neat as well. And you get 3 of those. Then we have the Huge Chain Chopper. So it's a 1 cost attachment with a single shield. It's a war gear weapon attached to a non-warlord. Attached unit gets +4 attack. However, attached unit cannot ready between combat rounds during the combat phase. So this is really good for an initial punch from an Orc unit, and unless you've got something like the Enraged or one of the units that can restand itself, you're pretty much shot in the foot after that, unless it was a further along planet. But yeah, so one of the things I've seen that talked about with this card is the very unfluffy way of attaching this to your opponent's units. Now it is something you can do, and yes, it will effectively keep them rested for the rest of the game. They'll be exhausted for the rest of the game effectively, but that's not a very orky thing to do, is it? And we have 3 of those. So for Chaos, we start with the Berserker Warriors. So it's a 2-cost army unit, no command, 3 attack, 2 HP. It's a warrior core on World Eaters. It does have loyalty. And then it's got Interrupt. When an enemy unit is destroyed, deploy this unit from your hand at the same planet as the destroyed unit. So this is really good because there's quite a few Chaos units, especially if you're going for the Cornate route, which are quite weak, good on the punch but quite weak on the return, and this just helps you sort of bolster your troops up. Because it's deploy, as far as I'm aware, you still have to pay the cost, but 2 to play a 3/2 still really is quite good, I think. So you get 3 of those. We're on to Killing Field, so it's a support card for Chaos. It's a 1 cost, it's a location, and action exhausts this support to have each unit at a target planet lose ranged until end of the phase. Now this card, I want it to be really good, but there just isn't that much ranged at the moment. And again, I think the only time this would really shine is against a Broderick War deck, using his preemptive strike to grant ranged, and then you could deny them. However, if your opponent sees you've got a Killing Field in play, they're probably not going to bother with the preemptive strike, but still. So right now, this card, unfortunately, I don't feel fits into any decks. However, it's one of those awkward cards that, you know, the time you have it and you need it, it will be a complete MVP and stop you from getting annihilated. But generally, I think 9 times out of 10, this really isn't going to fit in at the moment. But that may change in future. You get 3 of those. You have the Staff of Change attachment for Chaos. It's a 1 cost, 1 shield. It's a Wargear weapon Zinch. Attached to an army unit, limit 1 per unit. And reaction, after you win a command struggle at the planet, deal 2 damage to a target unit at this planet. Very chaosy, good at spiking a little bit of damage onto your opponent. And you can obviously just keep reusing this each round. Only catch being, if your opponent bugs out from the planet, you're going to be hitting your own guys. Which isn't always great, but then that's the Chaos way. You get 3 of those. So for Dark Eldar, we have the Shadowed Thorns Venom. So it's a 5-cost army unit, 2 command icons. It's a 4/4. It has Vehicle, Raider, and Elite. No War Gear attachments, as always. And reaction, after you deploy this unit, you may move each Kabalite army unit you control to a red planet. Each unit can move to a different planet, so don't have to all go to the same one. So this is built for a Morn deck. It's a bit expensive at 5 cost for only 4/4, but you look at that double command icon, plus the ability to move Kabalites, and if you're playing Thorn, it's a Raider, you're going to get resources back if you're putting it at a red planet, you know. I think this fits really well in the Morn deck. So I think it's quite a nice new card for to play with. We also have Rapid Assault. This is an event for the Dark Eldar. 2 cost, 1 shield. It's a tactic. And combat action, target a planet, put a Kabalite unit with printer cost 3 or lower into play from your hand, exhausted at the target planet. Then if the target planet is a red planet, ready up to 2 Kabalite units at that planet. So again, effectively this, if you're deploying Kabalite, you could effectively reduce this down to 1, because you're going to gain a resource back. And you're probably are going to be focusing this on a red planet, so you're going to get those 2 Kabalites readied. You're not going to have to worry about them being exhausted. So the downsides to this, I suppose, only come into play if you're having some inopportune, basically having to fight over a planet that isn't a red planet, which would be a shame, but does happen. So another good card for Morn, but potentially has use with some of the others like Kith and stuff. It depends how many of those Kabalites you are running. And 3 as always. Eldar get the Simhan Kinsman. So it's an army unit, 1 cost, 1 command. It's got 1 attack and 1 HP. It's a Scout Simhan ally. And when while this unit is a green planet, it gets +1 attack and +1 HP. Nice and simple. It's the Eldar's effective clone of the Salem's Finest, or the Salem's Honest Guard. Salem's, sorry, I'm terrible at pronouncing names, so my apology. So as long as you drop this down at a green planet, it is a 2/2. which is effectively where you're going to want it. And again, this seems like another card that's quite good against Broderick War decks, which are becoming quite prevalent as far as I'm aware. So that's quite a nice, cool one. I don't think it's going to see play a huge amount in Eldar decks, just because there's already a lot of very good cards in them. I'm not sure if it might replace the Eldar, the Belltown Guardians. So 3 of those. Eldritch Storm is an event, 2 cost, 1 shield. It's a power type, power trait, and combat action. Target up to 1 enemy unit at each green planet and deal 2 damage to each targeted unit. And immediately this is already a Broderick Warhoser, because I can't think of anyone else who really, any of the warlords that really focus on the green planet. So this is definitely good at wiping out those masses of troops that he can deploy. So fairly straightforward and simple card. And you get 3. And we also have a Shuriken Catapult attachment for the Eldar. 2 costs, 1 shield. It's a wargear weapon. It has ambush attached to a warrior army unit, and it gains +3 attack. And because it's an ambush, obviously you can play this out during your combat phase. So I really like this. I like the Eldar having these sort of like tricksy moments, utilising all of their mobile and ambushes and stuff. I think it's really cool. I mean, a little expensive at 2, but it really fits the theme of the Eldar. So 3 as always. For the Tau, we have a Salem Pioneer. So he's a 3-cost army unit, 1 command icon, 2 attack, 2 HP. He's a scout ally. And while this unit is a red planet, it gains +2 resources. Just a really good, solid card for the Tau to run. Gain those extra resources so you can deploy the bigger vehicles and the drones. I really like him. Obviously, he's limited to only being on the red planets, but otherwise I think he'd be a bit too powerful otherwise. So I really like him. You get 3. Now we have the Colony Shield Generator support for the Tau. So it's 0 cost, counts as an upgrade, and it's interrupt when a support card you control would be targeted. Exhaust this support to have this card be targeted instead, ignoring the targeting restrictions. So right now, I suppose there's not a huge amount of pressure to run something like this. Tau do have the most supports from what I can see. I feel like this could be quite useful if you are really focusing on being support heavy. And it is only a 0 to play. So it's not costing you anything other than your deploy action to get it down. As long as you can sort of get a card to replace it, that's not too bad. And I feel this is a card that's going to become a lot better in time as new sets come out and we see more advanced Tau support cards that really need protecting. You get 3 of those. So for the Tyranids, we have the Devourer Venom Thrope. 4-cost army unit, 2 command, 4 attack, 2 HP. It's a creature psyker Kraken. And reaction, after you win a command struggle at an infested planet, exhaust a target non-elite army unit at the planet. So that's really cool. Again, it can backfire potentially because it is just any army unit, but then if you're not battling there because there's no opponent, being exhausted isn't too much of an issue because you've already won the command struggle to be able to trigger the ability. But otherwise this would be really good for setting up attacks. It's a little bit weak at just 2 health, but ideally you're going to be utilising its ability, exhausting down your opponent's units. They'll swing out at this one probably because it is 2 command icon and 4 attack. It'll just have to take the attack, hopefully you can shield it through, and then it can become a bit of a powerhouse attacker. So that's very cool. So we've got 3 of those. We have the Genestealer Brood. So 3-cost army unit, 1 command, 3 attack, 2 HP. It's a creature Genestealer. Reaction, after you deploy this unit, search the top 6 cards of your deck for a Genestealer card, reveal it, add it to your hand, and place the remaining on the bottom of your deck in any order. This is effectively the Tyranids clone of a lot of cards from other sets, like the Tau one that searches for drones, the Eldar that searches for, I can't remember the card it searches for, I'm showing my knowledge here, aren't I? But effectively this is a clone for the Tyranids of previous cards that have already existed, so it's cool to see them get support like this. And I feel like the Genestealers maybe need this little bit of extra boost, this little bit of extra help, so it's cool to see them do it for that. You get 3 of those. And the last card for the expansion is the Sudden Adaption. So it's a 2-cost event for the Tyranids with 1 shield. It's a power trait, an action, return a Tyranid army unit at a planet to your hand to put a Tyranid army unit with equal or lower printed cost and a different name into play from your hand at the same planet. It's a shame it's a different name, but otherwise I think it would be a bit powerful because you'd effectively just bounce the unit to your hand to remove all the damage and then play it back out again. So I appreciate what they're doing. I feel like you'd have to have your deck slightly tailored to utilise this the most, otherwise you're going to have too many odd variances in costs to really get the most out of this, but I really like it because you not only do you get the shield on there, it does allow you to keep your army units alive, and you can put in fresh units and then just play the other one out next turn, especially if it's the ones that sort of infest on deployment and stuff like that. So I really like this adaption. I think it's quite cool, although the 2 costs a little bit off-putting, but it's still really cool. You get 3 of those. So there we go, that's all the individual cards you get in the Wrath of the Crusaders expansion. Like I said at the start, Black Templars are one of my favourite chapters. I'm very excited about playing Chaplain Mavros. I've had a few games with him as of recording this, and I really like his style. I think it's a really interesting way to play with all of this, and very much a tanky build. As for the other cards, there's some cool stuff there for the Eldar, especially the Dark Eldar for Morn decks. I feel like Tyranids are alright, especially for that Genestealer build. I think the Imperial Guard, that's, like I said, the Cathedral I'm not too keen on, but the Finest are really, really quite cool. So there we go, that is everything from the pack. I think definitely worth picking this one up. I mean, if you're already playing the game, you're probably already going to be getting this one anyway, but it's definitely a pack worth getting, if only just because I love Chaplain Mavros. Okay, so so you go, so that's everything. So remember, bigorbitcards.co.uk if you want to buy and sell all of these cards individually. We sell them all as individual cards on bigorbitcards.co.uk, so check out the site. Remember to like and subscribe, check out my other videos. I'm going to start doing more Conquest videos as of this one. So if you're curious, I'll be doing more unboxings for those later on, or if you have suggestions for other videos, feel free to leave them below. I'll take a look and see if we can do some other interesting stuff with Conquest as well. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.